Today, I'm going to be ranking my top 10 Eagles to watch during training camp. Now, this is not a list of the best Eagles, maybe the Eagles that are going to make the most impact, but the X factors, the guys that if they work, and we're not sure if they work, it's going to help the team out a lot. And also, how are these players going to be used? Are they going to get all the snaps? They're going to be inside, outside, wherever. And that's what we are basing this off of, 10 important players that I think training camp can tell us a lot about them and about how this team is going to function in 2026. Starting off, I have 3 honorable mentions. 2 of them that'll stick together is Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson. Are they healthy? Because if they're healthy, they are amazing players, especially Landon Dickerson is one of the best guards in football. We all know it. And Cam Jurgens was pretty solid, but last year they both played bad, especially Jurgens. It just wasn't good, and there is an easy thing to blame it on. Dickerson constantly had that foot injury and some other stuff, and Cam Jurgens, it seems like his back from the NFC Championship game, he just never really recovered from. So if we're able to see those two, and they seem 100% healthy, they're logging full practices, they're playing at 100%, then this is a different offense. This is just an offense that's going to run way better than it did last year, because last year there were just a lot of problems that I think that those two guys together can fix. Then my other honorable mention is Uwar Bernard. Uwar Bernard, obviously, we are not going to get a read on him for what he's going to do in 2026 because we know what that is, and that is nothing. But how is his development going? Do we see him in preseason? Does he look good in preseason? Does he seem like he can use that power? Does it seem like he's getting acclimated to football and hitting people? It's different. You know, it took me and other people a few years probably to really get down mentally how to play the game and how to give 100% and how to, and the techniques and things like that. So how is he coming along with that stuff? It will be possible to see during training camp, but since he's not making an impact for our team this year, I'm not going to have him in these top 10. At number 10, I have Cole Wisniewski. Cole Wisniewski is a rookie out of Texas Tech. He's a 7th round pick, safety, white, seems pretty exciting, but I don't think he's obviously a Reed Blankenship replacement. I don't think he's a starter, but what do we see from him? Does he even make the team? 7th round rookies, sometimes they don't, but do the Eagles like this guy? Are the Eagles thinking about developing him into being a starter or a quality safety at some point? Because we don't have a guy on the other side, Andrew Makuba, and we don't really know about Andrew Makuba. So I think that he is a big piece. You know what you're going to get from Marcus Epps. There's some other guys that could come in there at some point. Michael Carter, Andre Sam always gets thrown around. I think there's a few UDFAs. JT Gray, we signed out of free agency. There are guys, but I want to see what this guy Cole Wisniewski can do because he's young and because he's one of our draft picks. He seems important to us. That's why he's here at 10. At number 9, I have Tanner McKee. The big question is, what is Tanner McKee going to do for the Eagles in 2026? Because he's a very good backup quarterback. I'm fine with him as a backup quarterback. But we've always talked about wanting to trade Tanner McKee, and we can't keep 4 quarterbacks. Andy Dalton is probably the odd one out if we don't trade McKee, but I think that the plan is to trade him. You just can't keep 4 quarterbacks, and you can't give up on Cole Payton, your next version of Tanner McKee that you picked in the 5th round. So that's why I have Tanner McKee here at 9. At number 8, I have Mekhi Lemon, the rookie out of USC, 1st round pick. I really want to see how they use him because does he step in? He's instantly the wide receiver too. I don't think that the Eagles are a team that doesn't like to put rookies out there on the field, especially their 1st round picks. But we did see Quinyon was kind of thrusted into his role because Isaiah Rodgers got hurt. Otherwise, he was going to be a 1st round pick on the bench. Cooper DeJean was an early 2nd round pick that was a 1st round talent on the bench. John Campbell was on the bench. I don't think Mekhi Lemon is going to be on the bench with the amount that we need him, but is he going to be the 3? Is he going to step behind Wicks or step behind Hollywood Brown? And then also, what's his alignment going to be? Is he going to be outside? Is he going to be slot dominant? And is he going to work with Smitty? Is Smitty going to be on the inside more? Is he going to be on the outside more? It's going to be cool to see how that works and see if he can progress over time, because I'm not sure that he's going to start off in these two wide receiver sets, but I think he can end off training camp in them easily because Mekhi Lemon is that guy. It seemed like he's clear from his injury too, and that's why he's here at number 8. At number 7 is Tank Bigsby, and I was thinking of putting Will Shipley on this list. I didn't, but those two could have a similar role. I don't think that this is going to be a one running back system. We see with the Packers and Mannion, they liked mixing in Emmanuel Wilson. They drafted Marshawn Lloyd high, even though he never worked, for a reason, because they wanted to use him. And so I do think Tank Bigsby is going to get a good amount of reps, and I think the under center stuff that we are seeing more from Sean Mannion, hopefully, in the wide zone stuff, is stuff that Tank Bigsby excelled in. And he had a very good year last year, all things considered. He exceeded expectations, which I wouldn't say any other Eagle did last year on offense besides maybe Goddard. And so I think he's a great player. I mean, we saw him. He was out-snapping ETN in Jacksonville. This is a very good back that's the RB2 here, and I think he will get used, and I think he will get used a lot. It's going to be cool to see how much they'll play him in preseason, how much they'll do these things like that, but I think Tank Bigsby is very important to this team, and I want to see how much, and that's why he's here at number 7. At number 6, I have Darius Cooper. Darius Cooper has kind of gotten pushed down this depth chart, and he had an amazing preseason last year, and it seemed like he was the clear wide receiver 4, and especially after they traded John Mechie, he was the clear wide receiver 4, and once John Dotson left, I thought he would have a pretty good chance at competing for wide receiver 3. Then they bring in all these guys. Is he going to play over Hollywood Brown? He's probably not over Wicks. Will he play over Hollywood Brown? Will he play over Elijah Moore? Will he play over these receivers, and will he get any playing time at all? Because when he played last year, he was pretty good, and I think he has a role at receiver, which is the run blocker, the more physical guy. While he's not the biggest and while he can play in the slot, he was an amazing run blocker. They had him in on the tush push if they could sub a receiver in because of how good he was at run blocking. And so I think he has a role. I just want to see what that role is, and can he get on the field? Because I think he'll have a great preseason, but can he really get on the field in training camp with the first team offense at all? That's why he's here at number 6. At number 5, I have Dontavion Wicks. I've gone through most of these receivers besides Hollywood Brown because I think I know that his role is going to be the deep threat, but also maybe sometimes the shifty guy that you run bubble screens to and stuff. But Dontavion Wicks, he can play in the slot. He can play on the outside. He can do a lot of things. I think that he has grown as a receiver. It seems like he's putting in a lot of work. It seems like the Eagles have really liked this guy for a while. And he seems like he's an important piece of this offense. You don't pay a guy, it was either $10 or $12.5 million to be your wide receiver 4. He's going to be important. Is he going to be the wide receiver 2 over Mekhi Lemon? Is he going to get all the first team reps? Is he going to get him outside? Is he going to be strictly outside so both Mekhi Lemon and Smitty can work from the slot sometimes? It's going to be cool to see how he works. Is he going to be important enough to where they don't play him in preseason? We saw with Dotson in the past wide receiver 3s that they didn't really care about him. They threw him out there in preseason. Are we going to see that same treatment for Wicks? And I want to see how it is, especially because he already has worked with Sean Mannion and kind of worked with the scheme that Mannion is most likely bringing to the Eagles. So, yeah, that's why he's here at number 5. At number 4, I have Jahad Campbell. This is a starter, and this is simply a guy that is coming into a role that I'm not sure that he's had before. Yes, he started last year, but everybody knew when he started that it was because they were waiting for Nakobe Dean to come back. And once Nakobe Dean came back, his snaps were completely gone. I remember he had 0 snaps against the Bears when they ran for 200 yards. They could have used him, but Fangio didn't want to put him in. And so I think he can be an important player, but also Jahad Campbell was mostly looked at as an edge prospect. He played linebacker in college, but people really wanted him to move to edge. He kind of played the same role that Jalen Walker played. We saw them as similar prospects, and yet Jalen Walker is strictly on the edge. Is Jahad Campbell just going to be an off-ball linebacker? Are we going to have fun with him, especially when our edges can drop back into coverage? Are we going to move him up? Is Trotter going to come in sometimes? There's a lot of things that I want to see and just want to know how Jahad Campbell is going to work within this Fangio defense that we know can mix in some cool stuff, can blitz their linebackers, can do a lot of different things. How's John Campbell going to fit into that? That's why I want to know, and that's why he's here at number 4. At number 3, I have Michael Carter. Michael Carter is that slot corner, is that backup slot corner, but really, what is he going to do at safety? I feel like you have to work him out there. Marcus Epps is cool. Marcus Epps isn't awful, but Marcus Epps isn't good. And if you can upgrade, I think Michael Carter is a very solid upgrade. Michael Carter was really good with the Jets, especially in zone coverage, but he was one of the best cover PFF pass coverage grade guys in the league when he played slot corner. And then also this talk about Cooper DeJean. If he's back playing safety, if Tariq Woolen gets hurt, Michael Carter's probably the next guy to step in. If Quinyon gets hurt, Michael Carter's probably the next guy to step in. We've had depth corners stink. Think about Ringo. Think about Jacorian Bennett. We've just had problems with those guys. And so, we hopefully got that fixed this offseason with Woolen, but can we have a depth corner that really works out, that can move around, but also be that very solid backup slot corner? Because remember, we had Avonte Maddox, and then Cooper DeJean came in, and our defense flipped a switch. That means Cooper DeJean's really important, and if he's out of the lineup, how's Michael Carter going to be able to play that? So Michael Carter, yes, he's kind of a depth piece, but I think he can work at safety. I think he can work at slot corner. I think he can work a lot of different places, and that's why I think he's very important and why he's up here in number 3. At number 2, I have Andrew Makuba, and I was a huge fan of Makuba when he got drafted. One, because we just needed a safety, but this was a guy that was kind of small but could really hit and could really do a lot of good things, and he's put on some weight, but we saw him get hurt last year. While he was playing at the beginning, there were some struggles. He had the good pick against the Chiefs, but there were some struggles. Then he got a pick against the Vikings, but he really turned it on the Green Bay game, the Detroit game. He wasn't allowing anything. He was making good tackles. He was playing good football, and then he gets hurt against Dallas, and that sucked. He was out for the rest of the year, and we really needed another safety to fill in. And now he's coming back, and we're really putting faith in him as the safety one. He is the guy for the Eagles at safety next year. How is he going to be able to respond to that role? Do we see a big jump in production? Because the Eagles are banking on it, and if they can get it from him, yes, there's another safety that there is a problem with. But if you can get production from Andrew Makuba, it can be a different team, and it can be a great team. And that's why he's here at number 2. And at number 1, this is back to the offensive side of the ball, Eli Stowers. I think Eli Stowers is a huge piece of this team because you don't draft a guy that's that athletic, that's that big, just to sit him on the bench. I think the Eagles have constantly moved from tight end to tight end and having 2 tight ends at a time. It was Brent Selleck to Zach Ertz, Zach Ertz to Dallas Goedert, then Dallas Goedert to hopefully Eli Stowers if he works out. I think he's a very important piece, and Eli Stowers can just do a lot of fun things. He can line up at receiver. He's not the best run blocker, but he's solid at it. He can do a lot of things. You can't just have this guy on the bench, but it's going to be fun seeing all the different weapons. How does Eli Stowers get on the field? Is he the clear tight end 2? Because then what happens to Grant Calcaterra? Because you can't have a tight end 3 that comes in there and just can't block, which is true about Calcaterra. So Eli Stowers, I think, is going to be a big piece of this offense because he's just this fun player. He's this guy that you can use in a lot of different ways, and I want to see how they're going to use him, especially because this is our tight end of the future. Goddard's most likely gone after this year, and this is the tight end of the future. That's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If it did, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.